Welcome to this lecture. In this lecture we are going to learn about the looping concept. So first of all, what is loops? So loops is going to be iterate over the given sequence. So we provide the data set, and looping is basically it is going to loop until and unless the condition is met. If the condition is not met, if it is at the end of the data set, then looping will be ended. So let's see the loop in the action. So first of all, let's make use of the range function. So let's save this and press F5, and let me show you. If I say range method, so this is the inbuilt Python method, so it should be range. And if I say 5, okay, so stop point would be 5, then it is going to give us a tuple from 0 to 5. So just remember that range is going to give us a tuple from the starting point to the end point. So if you just provide a single letter or a single argument, then it would be the stop point. If you provide the two argument, let me say it's range and 4 to 8, it is going to give us from starting 4 to end 8. So this is the range method. We'll make use of this range method now. So first of all, let me show you something like, okay, so first of all, if you want to print your name, we'll just start from the basics. So if you want to print your name, and this is the way to print. So let's save this and execute. So you can see the Sachin just printed over here. But if you want to print this multiple times, so let me show you that if you want to print this maybe 10 times, so all you need to do is simply copy paste, although it would be overhead, but all you need to do is copy and paste. But if I told you to 20 times or 30 times or 1000 times, so this would be tedious tasks. You have to simply copy everything and paste it over again and again, although this is quite boring tasks, but you need to do this. If you save this, press, you will be getting your output, but it will take some times. So this can be done by the loops. So let's see. So loop will be executed from this for. This is the keyword basically. So for all in lowercase. So I'll say I. For I is basically any variable. In keyword is needed, and the range. So range is going to give us a tuple or a list, and let me say 10 over here, and give the colon. So colon is important, and after that it will get some indentation. If you just press enter from here, all you need to do is just press enter. It will just give a certain portion as indentation, and you will just print your name over here. If I just save this and press F5, it is going to give us 10 times such in here. So what we just did here was we just loop in this range. So what this range 10 is going to give us is, let me show you over here. So range 10 is going to give us sometime like as a tuple, and it starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, as the last one would be omitted over here. If you just type here 11, it would be till 10. That means 11 times the loop will be executed. But for now we have 10, that means it will be executed 10 times from 0 to 9. So first of all, this I value will be 0, and the next time it will be 1, and it will just loop until we reach over here. And after this we don't have anything, that means the loop will be ended, and Sachin will be printed only the 10 times. If you want 100 times, that should be 100 over here. Let's comment this out by this hash. Let's save this, press F5, you will see the 100 times Sachin will be just printed over here. So instead of just printing your name 100 times, you will simply make use of this loop, and loop will do the tasks repeatedly for you. So this is the importance of the loops. Let's see something interesting program now. So let's say I want to check basically the numbers. So let's make the number, and we haven't studied the list yet. We'll study in the next lecture, but just remember, list is basically the number. So collection of a number, we have, instead of just making the variable, we have the numbers in the list. So we have the collection of a number in this number. So I want to just loop now for num, I'll say number. In num, I'll just check if that number is modulus of 2 is equal 0. That means if it is even, then I want to print that number by formatting is even. Let's format this with our number. Let's close this. Let's save this first. Press F5. It is going to give us 2 is even, 4 is even, 6 and 8 is even. And if you want other, then you can simply say else, and you'll just print whatever is over here. So let's go over here and print this is odd. Let's save this. Press F5. You are going to say 1 is odd, 2 is even, 3 is odd, and everything over here. So what we did here was we make use of the conditionals with our for loop. So every time this for loop is executed, it is going to get us a single number from this num. So num is a list. In the first loop, this number will be 1. In the second loop, this number will be 2. In the third, it will be 3. And in the fourth, it will be 4. Only one number at a time. And we are going inside this loop with only that one number, with this 1 at first. So this, at the first loop, this number will be 1, and we are checking if 1 of modulus of 2. So this expression will return that is 1, because it is not even, it is not divisible. So it will be false over here. That means this won't be executed. It will go to the else part and it will just print that this is odd. In the second loop, this number will be 2, and we'll just check again. 2 modulus of 2 is 0. Obviously this will be executed. In the third loop, this will be 3, because in this number list the third element is 3, so it is going to get us 3, and this is again the false. It will go to the else part. So this is the way for loop work, and we have now a program that will simply get us a value to check for the number that is even or odd. You can also check for the that the alphabet that is vowel or not. So you can do the program for yourselves. So if you do something like num is modulus of 2 is equal 0, let's press F5, then it is going to give us the error saying this num is unsupported operands type, because this num is not what we just required. This num is basically, it is taking whole of this list. So we want to check only with the single number. That means for loop will just take every element from this data sequence, and we can just execute our logic to just check for that data, single data from the list. It can be from the tuple or any other data sequence. So this is the importance of the for loop. So for loop can iterate over a sequence of number we have seen over here, and we can just make use of the range method or any other method, and we can just perform an operation over here. So if you have to do something like check for the prime number or check for the range, printing some numbers, you can do something like by the range method. Let me show you. For x in range, so I have shown you that range method will just give a sequence of numbers. So I'll say I want the number from 3 to 5, because this 6 is not included. So range 3, 6 will print the tuple number of 3, 4, 5, because the 6 won't be included over here. Just remember that. And after we just do this, we want to print that x. Let's save this. Press F5. You are going to get 3, 4, 5. This is the way. So we have something that is, let me show you here real quick. So if I say print and do this, you are getting this ind attribute over here and shape attribute over here. So if I say x and comma ind attribute to be only this but not /n, then if I say save this and print, you are going to get 3, 4, 5, because this ind is attribute that is going to give us if I say something like, okay, I want this much space between each of this number while printing, let me save this, then you are getting these spaces in each of these number like we just passed in this end. So if you want in the middle of each number, let me say $. If I save this, you will see in the each number you will have the $sign. So we are just formatting with this new attribute over here with the int. So we have now completed about the for loop. So next one is while loop. So it is similar to the for loop. Let's see about the while loop. So all in lowercase, start with while, typing the while, and you will say some variable over here. Let's make first variable. Let me do the same tasks as we have done in the before, like printing the name. So I'll say count equals 0. So I'll just check with the condition if this count is less than 5, that means this will be executed 5 times. I want to print that name, which is 5 times. If you just do this and if you just print now, it will be executed infinite times, because this count 0 value in here is less than 5. It is always true, it is never false. That means this for while loop will be executed infinite times, and you will have the console that will be hanged after some moment, because this is never going to be terminated, because this count value is never going to be greater than 5, which is always 0. So if you want to just terminate after 5th loop, you have to change the value of the count every time you execute the first or second loop. So if I say save this, press F5, it is going to give us 5 times Sachin, which is obviously the condition when this condition is true. Until and unless this count becomes greater than 5, it will terminate your loop. But if you just remove this, if I just press hash and if I save this, press F5, it is going to execute infinite times. It is not going to just terminate in any time. So you have to just close this now, you have to kill it, because this is never going to be terminated. The count 0, this condition is true every time. That means the code inside this while will be executed infinite times. This can be done something like with this statement, while true, print Sachin. So if you want your program to have the infinite loop, you can do something like this. It will be executed for the infinite loop. We can do this in some programs, making the loop that won't be terminated at any time. This is the infinite loop. Now let's learn about the break and continue statement. So break, as the name suggests, is used to exit from the loop, and continue is used to skip the current block. So let's see how this break and continue statement works with the function or with the program over here. So let me say count 0, and let me make while true, which is our infinite loop, and here I'm going to print my count, which is basically your count. Now I'm going to say count add every time this loop work, add count, and if count is greater or equal to 5, you have to break. So let's see first the break statement. So what we are doing here is, I've already shown you in the couple of minutes before that while true is going to execute in infinite loop. So this is going to do infinite, but this break statement is used to break your loop. Whenever this count is greater than equal to 5, break is going to just terminate this loop and it will just get out of this loop. Let's see if this works or not. So let's save this first, press F5. Then it is going to give us the 5 values, because if this condition is true, then it will be break. Let's see if I just remove this break, or if I save this, press F5. Okay, we haven't had anything over here. Let's say print hey. Let's save this, press, then it is going to execute infinite times again, because we don't have any condition that will just terminate this loop. That is going to be done by our break statement. If this is the condition, if this condition becomes true, then break statement will be executed. So this is the way to just terminate out of this infinite loop using the break. So let's see about the continue statement now. So continue is very easy and very important. So let's make the program with the for loop. So for x in range, so I have already shown you about the range. It will just create us a tuple from 0 to 9. So let's check if this x is even or not. We have done this program again before. So if it is the case, then I just want to continue. Else I want to print my x. So what do you think this program is all about? Is it going to print us a even number or an odd number? So let's save this and see. And obviously this is going to print us a odd number, because in the case of even, if we get the even number, we are just saying continue. Don't print that number, just continue, just skip that number. And if it is the false, then print x. That means it will just print odd. If for case, let me just quickly make here the range. So range over here would be from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and the 9. So this will be the printed value. So at first it will be 0. So we are just checking 0 modulus of 2 is 0, which is obviously this part is true. That means it will just enter in this if loop. And here it is saying continue. That means nothing to do with this 0. Second, it is saying 1. And this condition is false. That means it will go out here and it will print 1. For the next, it will say 2. Don't do anything for the 2. Just go in the another loop. So that is saying with this continue. Continue is basically going to skip that certain block or a current block, and break is going to exit from the loop if the condition is met, which we just saw in the previous example. So this is our flow control part 2, where we just learned our looping concept and break and continue statement, and we'll learn about the functions and more interesting part of Python in the upcoming lectures. See you in the next one.